Hello and welcome to this session, friends. My name is Yogesh. In this session, we are going to discuss on configuring centralized log management server using rsyslog on Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS 7. So first thing, what is syslog? So friends, syslog is very important for making sure that system processes, which mean your OS and critical applications or database, log the event and states in the log files. Friends, these logs files are very handy when you are performing any sort of troubleshooting or any kind of auditing. A Linux host running rsyslog can send all or selected logs to another rsyslog host over a TCP or UDP connection. Personally, I would recommend to use TCP because TCP is reliable protocol and UDP is stateless. So that's up to you. And in this lab setup, I'm going to demonstrate how to use a Linux host to make it a centralized log server. In my setup, I got two servers, rsyslog master, which got IP 90.10.10.20. This server will be acting as Syslog Centralized Log Management Server. And second server, rsyslog-client, it got IP 90.10.10.50. This server will be acting as Syslog client. I have listed the steps which I will be demonstrating you on the technical session. So first thing, configure firewall rules on Syslog centralized server to accept traffic on port 514, which is default Syslog port on TCP protocol. This is Red Hat 7, so I'm using Firewall CMD. Next thing, I am modifying etc rsyslog.conf file. So the server can accept syslogs on port 514 using TCP protocol connections. Next thing, I am adding couple of parameters which will allow directory creation inside varlog on the centralized syslog server, so we can easily identify the log files in dedicated folder for each syslog client. Then we will be reloading the rsyslog service on centralized log server. So the changes which we made in step 2 and 3, they are applicable or applied. On client side, that's very easy to add a single rule and restart the syslog service. So let's begin with technical session, friends. Let me open putty session to my server, which we will configure as syslog server. This is already open now. Okay, so first thing, we have to verify whether rsyslog package is there or not. If you see, package is already here. Next thing, we have to configure firewall rule. So this is Red Hat 7. Let me show you again. If you see, this is Enterprise Linux 7. I'm just using Firewall CMD. Zone public mean it will accept traffic from every host. Add port means on which port I have to accept traffic. That's 514, which is default syslog port, and this is the protocol TCP, and this is permanent rule. Pressing enter here, that's done. So friends, we have to reload the firewall CMD. What it mean, all the firewall CMD configuration will be reloaded. If you see, this is success, so that's fine. Next thing, to configure this server as rsyslog centralized server, we have to modify etc rsyslog.conf file. I'm just using Y here, and for demo purpose, I want to tell you this thing. If you see this particular bit, these two entries, what it mean, if I uncomment this file, it will load the IMUDP module. What it mean, it will accept syslog traffic if the protocol is UDP and coming on 514 UDP. But as I said, I want to use TCP. I'm going to uncomment these two entries. So this is done. And here I want to create specific or particular or dedicated directories for each client on my syslog server. So I'm going to add these two lines here. What these two lines mean, friends? Basically, these are the syslog templates. If you see this path, that's var/log. Inside that path, present hostname present. What it mean now? whatever the client name, there will be dedicated directory created automatically once syslog file reach this particular centralized log management server. And inside that directory, if you see %program %.log, what it mean? Whatever the program on client side, let's say it's a daemon, let's say it's NTP or any other daemon, so it will be written in a dedicated log file for that program. Okay, I'm saving this one. Next thing, I have to reload rsyslog service. Reload mean basically I have to restart so that whatever the changes I have made, they are applicable or applied. So it may take couple of seconds first time to reload this service, because it might be creating a directory for this particular server as we change the configuration. Okay, so service is restarted. Let's validate service status. If you see, service is active and it's enabled, so it looks good to me. Let me check the content of varlog directory. If you see, friends, one directory just got created with rsyslog-master, and this is the syslog server or centralized syslog server itself, because I have enabled the configuration to create dedicated directory for each host, because even this server is acting as a rsyslog client also. So that's the reason one directory got created for this one. So friends, configuration is done for centralized rsyslog server. Next thing, on the client side, we have to configure the rsyslog client to send all the syslogs on the rsyslog master server, which is our centralized logging server. To do so, that's very easy again. We have to modify rsyslog file on the client, and similar file, I'm just doing vi on this one and jumping to bottom, adding new entry. So I'm just sending all the log files, which means star.star. If you see, there are two @ symbol. Two @ symbol mean TCP protocol will be used for communication. If it is only single @ what it mean, like UDP will be used for communication. So right now we are using TCP, so two @ symbols, and this is the IP of centralized syslog server, which is 90.10.10.20, and host name is rsyslog-master. Friends, always mention IP address instead of using DNS or host name. Why? Because you are unnecessarily putting a load on your DNS services. So use IP. There is no harm to use IP. And next bit separated by column, that's 514, that's a syslog port. That's a default port. I'm just saving this file. And my client is Red Hat 6. Let me show you again. So if you see this particular bit, EL6, and on this side I have to use service command to restart the service, because that's Red Hat 6. systemctl is not available on Red Hat 6. I'm just restarting syslog. Okay, friends, it's written. So let's verify whether all the logs are getting moved to centralized syslog server or not. You can use logger command. I'm just using logger test log from and putting host name, so I can identify rsyslog client, pressing enter here. So it's written. Let me check exit code. If you see exit code 0, it means command successfully completed, but we have to validate on remote side whether logs reached or not, because this command got successfully completed, but it may return to local log file. So let's validate same thing on master side. I'm just running ls-lart again. If you see, one new directory got created, rsyslog client. So friends, if you remember, or let me show you again, this is a server which we just created as a rsyslog client, which is writing all the log files to server rsyslog-master. So this directory got created. I'm just changing directory to this one, varlog followed by the client name, pressing ls-l here, if you see, there are different files: kernel, root, rsyslog. So let me check content of root, because I typed logger command as root user, so it must be written under this particular entry. I'm just doing cat. If you see, this message is here, which is written from rsyslog client, and this is a time and date format, so it means my configuration is working. So friends, that's a very easy to configure centralized rsyslog server, or you can say log management server. Let me show you another thing. Right now in this directory, there are only 3 log files, and for every daemon there will be separate log files created. Let me give you one demonstration. I am restarting service ntp restart. Sorry, it's ntpd. If you see, service is restarted, so here one ntpd.log file should be created now. Yep, if you see, this one is created. Let me show you content of this file. If you see, this file is created from the client rsyslog client, and all the ntp logs are written here. So friends, that's very easy, and that's up to you. You want to send all the logs from client to centralized log management server, or some particular. Even you can configure in a way, if you want to send some particular logs to one syslog server and some other logs to other centralized log server. That's up to you. So friends, that was a very easy thing. And one recommendation from my side, because if you see here, let me show you directory, this var log directory, this is default created inside /var mount point. In case this is on root file system or /var, I would recommend to make it on a separate mount point. Why? Because you will be not filling /var, because depending upon your client count, this particular directory may be huge or get huge. So if you have it on a separate file system, what it means, you can easily expand that file system whenever you require, and there would be no worry that you are filling /var file system. So thanks for watching this video, friends. If you have any query or any suggestion, just leave a comment on my YouTube channel. Stay tuned. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.